Well, after 27 weeks, 89 games, 243 goals, we've finally reached the summit. And it's Sydney FC and the Central Coast Mariners who have left the other 6 teams in their wake. Hello and welcome to Grand Final Day here at Aussie Stadium, the day of destiny for the inaugural Hyundai A-League season. It's a story of contrast, big, small, rich and poor, but on the pitch where it counts, there's very little between the two teams. Well, let's have a look at those teams now. Firstly, Sydney FC, 3 changes, 1 forced, 2 by choice, have been made by Pierre Litbarski. At right back, as expected, Andrew Packer returns in place of the suspended Mark Milligan, while in central defence, the fit-again Jacob Timpano has been preferred to Ian Fife. But perhaps the big surprise is in midfield, where a case has been made for experience over youth. Terry McFlynn gets his first start in 6 games, and teenager Ruben Zadkovic drops to the bench. For the Mariners, well, never one to hide behind a veil of secrecy, Laurie McKenna presented his grand final team to the public at the start of the week, and he's been true to his word. The team which did the job in Adelaide last weekend gets its reward. An unchanged lineup has Michael Beecham and Andrew Clark in the heart of defence, Andre Gumprecht and Noel Spencer in the centre of midfield, and Tom Pondelyak and Stuart Petrie providing pace and persistence in attack. The referee on grand final day is Mark Shield. We're off in the grand final. The Mariners hoping to extend that 12-game unbeaten run. Sydney FC proud of their home record. And they have the ideal leader for the big occasion in Dwight Yorke.
And he is certainly a key in this match, and what they do with him is a little bit changed role. He's got a free role behind Petrovski, Corica on the left, Carney on the right, so he has changed it for the big game.
Swung in by Heffernan, dangerous ball. Timpano had to deal with it. Now O'Sullivan chips it back in towards the danger zone. And the sun in the eyes there of Alvin Checkerley. Sydney taking a while to clear their lines. Early pressure from the Mariners. McFlynn. Now Timpano. And Sasho Petrovski with his first touch. It's his 31st birthday today. Petrovski battles away with O'Sullivan. The Mariners have it back. Plenty of feeling in the tackles. Still with the Mariners. O'Sullivan gets a lucky rebound. And Bolton had to come a long way out of the area. A very positive start from the Central Coast.
It wasn't Wayne O'Sullivan all of a sudden finding himself in space. It was Andrew Packer that hung back and played him onside. But Clint Bolton, sweeping at the back of his defence, was off his line quickly.
No signs of being overawed by the occasion in these early stages from the Mariners. Bolton. Miscued clearance. Breaks for Gumprecht. Tries to release Heffernan, who's too quick for Packer. But Packer recovers well. Did the ball cross the line? And the assistant referee says no. Yorke now for Sydney. You can cut the atmosphere with a knife.
And you see Yorke picking up the ball. See him in that free roll. He popped up on the right-hand side. Going back to his trip overseas, it's going to be interesting to see. Jet lag is something that does affect you. Of course, there's a lot of adrenaline into a grand final, but that voyage might affect him later in the game. Well,
we do make the point that 3 times this season Dwight Yorke has travelled away for international duty, and on his return Sydney haven't won a game. Carney with the early free kick, looking for Corica. Well, they're up for this, the Mariners, you can tell already. Bingley's conceded possession. And Rudin tangles with Tommy Pondelyak. 2 former teammates in the old NSL. But no favours asked or expected on grand final day. Tommy Pondelyak scored the goal, which got the Mariners into the grand final. Spencer. Here's Carney. Still going, David Carney. Heffernan and Carney contest, and another free kick to the Mariners. The early decisions going in favour of the visiting team.
Well, that's one of the real key battles in the match as well. David Carney against Heffernan. You will see Carney look to have got the better of him. Heffernan manages to get a foot in. Carney comes back, pulls his shirt, gives away the foul. Who's going to be able to push which one back? Can Carney stop those overlapping runs from Heffernan? That will be a real key to this battle as well.
It's a wasted free kick from Dean Heffernan. It's played the ball straight to McFlynn. Corica rides one challenge and another. Still going forward is Corica. Mariners have scrambled well. Well, I'm not sure if Laurie McKenna, or should I say, I'm not sure if the players listened to Laurie McKenna. He said before the match he thought it might be a bit cagey in the opening few minutes. Far from the case.
Oh, it's been a very high tempo to kick off with, a lot of niggly fouls. You'd expect that. Players hyped up for the game, diving into tackles. Mariners certainly not sitting back.
Bingley with a quick throw. Packer pumps it forward. Petrovsky asked to chase it down. And Vukovic right out to the edge of the box. With his first touch of the game, the young goalkeeper, Danny Vukovic, has played a starring role for the Central Coast in their run through to the grand final. Onside is Pontilyak. Gilprecht through the middle. Arriving late is Brown. Gilprecht had to snatch at the chance. And Sydney FC under all sorts of early pressure.
Well, there's the ball, goes out to Pontilyak. He finds himself in space. That's a wicked ball to the back pace. Great shape on the cross. Gilprecht snatches at it. Probably had more time there. And the chance goes begging. What a great chance for the Central Coast.
Heffernan and Carney continue their contest. It's a good contest as well. At the moment, Heffernan ahead on points. Timpano hustled into error. Pontilyak, two forward for the Mariners. Squared up and didn't get onto the shots. Stewie Petrie on his favoured left boot. Could hardly believe his luck. The chance, and a golden chance, goes begging.
Well, it's a mistake from Timpano. He takes a risk. You have to clear the danger. Pontilyak picks it up. He picks out Petrie. Doesn't get a hold of his shot. And another chance. That's two golden chances now. One to Petrie. He must hit the target from there.
Will the Mariners live to rue these missed opportunities early in the game? Inside the 8-minute mark, and they've had a couple of real chances to go ahead. Maybe the nerves are a factor. Stewie Petrie will be disappointed. Checkerley. Deep ball, too deep for York. Pierre Litbarski. Fairly calm on the sideline at the moment. And I was going to make the point, 3 changes to a team going into the grand final, not ideal in some ways. Brown. Looking for Gilprecht. No chances taken by Packer.
Yeah, and Timpano's another one of those players. You talked about Terry McFlynn, hasn't played much. But Timpano's been out injured as well, so he's come back into the side. And the trouble already on the flanks. Central Coast using that.
And Petrie again making a nuisance of himself in and around the goal mouth. The Scotsman feels that should have been a corner.
Yeah, again, the ball comes in. 2 Sydney defenders just doing enough.
At the moment, the game and the pace of the game is creating so much space. Brown now. Gilprecht full of running. On the overlap, Andre Gilprecht to the byline. The cutback, Brown. And the Shot was blocked by Rudin, and now the Mariners have a corner, their first of the game. Gilbreth doing all the early running. The opening 10 minutes, surely it belonged to the Mariners.
Well, what about the running off the ball from Gumprecht? Makes the overlapping run. Maybe just takes it a bit too far. Brown with the shot, certainly on target. Here's Gumprecht around the outside. Maybe that touch took him a bit too far. Brown had continued his run. The block from Mark Wood.
And it comes from Damien Brown. Free header. Simple save from Bolton, but another chance goes begging. This time I think it was Alex Wilkinson. Sydney living dangerously. York trying to provide a spark. McFlynn, a clever ball into space. Well read though by the keeper. Not a lot of evidence of the claims before the game that Dwight York might push up in support of Sasho Petrovski. As we see Vukovic clear the danger. Long throw from Packer. Header away by Spencer. Put back in by Packer. Once again, free header. Completely missed by Dwight York. What an opportunity that was.
That's a wonderful opportunity for Dwight York. He just missed it. And also on the back post, the ball dropped as well. It was missed twice. Packer just floats this one. There's the ball to York. He misses it.
Dwight York, with a goal at his mercy, somehow failed to make contact with the ball.
And the second one was, sure it was Petrovski on the back post. He missed it as well.
In comes the corner. Pushing and shoving going on inside that penalty area. Timpano. Chance. Blocked. It was Heffernan. Carney lines up the shots from a long way out. And the ball sails wide of the post. Better stuff from Sydney.
Yeah, good pressure from the set piece. The ball coming back in again. Timpano does well. Swings it. Clash there with York. That was Mark Rudin, who, of course, has scored a couple of very important goals in the last few weeks. It was a half a chance. Central Coast should have to say defended it pretty well.
And a bit of luck for Petrovski, and the shot was on target. And that's a good save from Vukovic.
And not only does he save it, but he holds on to it, Vukovic. Petrovski just found a half a metre, probably for the first time in the match, managed to get his snapshot away.
And Sasho Petrovski with a half volley. It was on target. That will do his confidence some good. Gilbreth squares it up. Just clearing the bar is Stewie Petrie, who's been on the end of a couple of very good opportunities, and both on the left foot that he favours as well.
Well, the mistake this time from Packer doesn't clear the danger, and it's Gumprecht, that man. Picks out Petrie, can't get over the ball, maybe just sits up a little bit too much for him. He's trying to place this into the top right-hand corner. Just gets over it, and Bolton had it covered.
He's trying to take the weight off the ball there, Stewie Petrie. Carney turns it over. And you might describe as a professional foul from Andrew Packer. Took out his opponent with no real intent to get the ball.
Petrie dropping off again, picking up the ball. Packer knew he was beaten. He commits the foul right near the halfway line, and that takes the pressure off, cuts the flow of the game.
Dean Heffernan taking a fair while with this free kick. Played in the end by Clark, who gets it back. A patient build-up from the Central Coast. O'Sullivan. Chance here for Stewie Petrie, who worked it onto the right foot. And that will be a corner for the Mariners.
Well, the problem that time coming down the right-hand channel, Wayne O'Sullivan in acres of space. Peachy tried to make space, moves the ball from left to right. It's a snapshot, but gets a corner. But what you get is Steve Corica playing on that left-hand side. He does like to come infield, and that does open up the channel for Wayne O'Sullivan and Alex Wilkinson to get forward.
Damien Brown squinting into the sun. Has the corner. Good bend on it as well. Mark Rudin. Very important header away. And now Sydney with a chance to counter quickly. York full of running. Down he goes. Across making the challenge was Heffernan. Free kick to Sydney FC.
Yeah, Dwight York played that one well. Heffernan coming across. He was never going to pull out of this tackle. Slides in. York knew he was coming. He just toe pokes the ball past him, and it's a definite foul.
That's the sort of treatment I'm talking about. Dwight York has probably been on the receiving end of more hard tackles in this opening half of football than he has been for most of the season. That is a sign of what is at stake. Carney. 1 against 2. Still going, David Carney.
Poor play there, ball given away again by Sydney FC. Terry McFlynn this time with the poor pass.
Through and onside is Wayne O'Sullivan. Rudin did superbly well. Mark Rudin didn't have to make the tackle, but did enough to force him inside. And the cover arrived for Sydney FC.
Oh, he didn't, far too easy. Little 1-2, and Sullivan, you just look at him to go on with this. Comes back inside, trying to come onto his right foot, but Mark Rudin, that's great defending.
Clark. O'Sullivan gets past Checkerling, squares it up, and again, maybe a bit too unselfish from Wayne O'Sullivan.
They probably played that one in too early, but again he got free, this time in behind Checkerling. Checkerling just trying to muscle. He doesn't judge it, and here he plays it just a bit too early. He's got Pontiac, who was just hanging off. Maybe the little back ball cut back might have been the better option, but it does give them yet another corner.
Can they make something of all this pressure, the Mariners? Swung in by Brown. Strong header away by Sasho Petrovski. Pontiac plays it down the line. Spencer has stayed forward. And some more work to do for the Sydney FC defence. We're inside the final minute of normal time in the first half. Brown with the outswinger. McFlynn looking for York. And in the meantime, Beecham is down behind play.
Yeah, the ball coming over the top, and he just crashes into the back of the head of Mark Rudin. Both going for the ball, completely accidental. Rudin with the header. Beecham staying down, and I'm sure with a tough customer, he'll be back up. A little bit dazed.
A little bit concussed, perhaps, Michael Beecham. Head on head. Mark Rudin is also feeling the effects. Maybe a cut above the left ear of Mark Rudin.
Well, as we approach half-time, to injury time, only a minute of that, Barsky, I'm sure, will be thinking of maybe even changing it as early as half-time. Ruben Zadkovic, obviously, on the bench, who's played and been quite good in the last month since coming in. There's Laurie McKinnon. He'll be absolutely delighted with the performance of Central Coast. Maybe the only thing, there's the 1 minute. The only thing for Laurie, he'll feel that they maybe should have a goal. Very important to score and capitalise when you are dominating. But Zadkovic could certainly add a lot of pace to the Sydney attack.
York. Sullivan jumps with Bingley. The ball now breaks for Checkerley. Can Sydney FC score in the dying moments of the first half? Checkerley heads towards the byline. A low cross, easily cut out by Alex Wilkinson. A look at the watch from referee Mark Shield. Checkerley whips in the cross. The Mariners taking time to clear. Peels for handball. The half volley. Stevie Corica puts it over the crossbar.
Well, Dwight York tries the spectacular overhead kick and it ricochets off, and Steve Corica just didn't get it the half volley right with his left foot. That's a half a chance. Should hit the target from there.
A half a chance at the end of the first half. The Mariners have dominated the opening 45 minutes of the grand final. Sydney FC with a few counter-attacks, making a few anxious moments for Danny Vukovic in that Mariners goal. Andre Gumprek created a lot of the early momentum. Vukovic held his line, and I'm sure a thoughtful Pierre Leparski heads towards the dressing room. The halftime score here at Aussie Stadium: Sydney FC 0, Central Coast Mariners 0. And having laid the foundations in the first half, can the Central Coast Mariners build themselves a house in the second? They have been the dominant force of the grand final. It's always a worry, though, when you don't have anything to show for it. And that will be preying on the minds, perhaps, of these Mariners players as we head into the second 45 minutes.
Well, that's what Laurie McKenna would have been thinking. Of course, he's upbeat, positive. It's been a very good performance so far. They've been quite comfortable. They've been busier, hungrier, as he said, but they haven't got a goal. Very important to get a goal when you dominate.
Heffernan with the free kick, and again he's taking a fair while. Drives it across the park, looking for O'Sullivan. He gets a touch to it, and the return finds Petrie. Dangerous ball from Petrie. And what an important touch that was from Packer. Completely free behind him was Damien Brown. A good start to the second half from the Central Coast.
Well, they started off where they left off. This time Petrie pulls out to that right-hand channel. And Andrew Packer pedaling backwards, an important touch with Brown unmarked behind him.
Another corner for the Mariners. Swung away from goal. Came off a Sydney head. Brought down by Pondliak. And Petrovski, not for the first time in this game, has produced some wonderful defensive work inside his own penalty area. Petrovski working hard at both ends of the park.
Tommy Pondliak was a half chance coming from the corner. He elected to take the control. Felt he had to try and take it first time.
Heffernan. Petrie dispossessed. Well, it really is something of a mystery. You have to say that we haven't seen a goal as yet. And that's a great ball from Meacham. Heffernan tangles with Packer. Packer recovers superbly well. Carney. Sydney need more from their number 12, David Carney.
He's been a real find of the season, but you're not going to get it from that position. He's back helping Andrew Packer. You need Carney further up the park. Sydney need to move further up the park. But this second half has started, as the first one ended, the Central Coast, the back four pushing right up to the halfway line and squeezing the space.
Timpano down the line goes Elvin Checkerley. And O'Sullivan dives in, and again that's a Sydney FC free kick. We saw a similar situation in the first half involving York and Clark. This time O'Sullivan and Checkerley.
Oh, Checkerley getting in behind for one of the first times. Wayne O'Sullivan tracking back. Checkerley throwing his body in front of O'Sullivan, and it was a clumsy challenge. Mark Shield giving this free kick.
Corica clips it in. attacking the ball was Heffernan. It breaks for Packer. In fact, it was Terry McFlynn, I think, with a shot from a fair distance. The Northern Irishman back in the 11 after a 6-week break.
That's well defended from the corner, the header out. Bingley taking a touch. Checkley with the first shot blocked. The Falstaff, McFlynn takes it first time, mishits it, and so nearly fell for Mark Wood.
Spencer gets the decision. The challenge came from McFlynn. The Mariners have a chance from the dead ball.
Yeah, the ball taken away from Noel Spencer. Going sideways, dribbles past McFlynn, who brings him down. There's no doubt that that was a free kick.
Brown may try to bend this one in towards the penalty spot. Needs some movement off the ball. That's where it goes. Flicked on, and it's come off the back of Dean Heffernan's head. He didn't know much about it.
The ball was played in. I think it comes off Alex Wilkinson first. It goes in behind. Heffernan just comes off his back. There's the first touch.
Carney played in by Petrovsky. Goes through the legs of the opponent. David Carney still going. David Carney. Vukovic with a shot. Vukovic, I should say, with a stop. And in the end, the rebound fell for Matthew Bingley. And the cover was there in the nick of time.
Well, the first time we've seen Carney get the better of Heffernan. Collects this ball. He goes with a little nutmeg. He gets it. He comes in here. I think he should pull the trigger. Left foot, go for the far post. Tries to come out, but Vukovic did ever so well covering his near post.
York has the corner. The volley is a difficult one. Difficult chance for Stevie Corica. And a couple of near misses have brought the crowd to life.
Yeah, that one comes off the outside of his boot. Maybe takes his eyes off it at the last moment. He knows it.
Corica cuts inside. Chance for Sydney. The shot was on target. But Danny Vukovic, again, equal to the challenge.
Yeah, the ball played in over the top. It's a good flick on. Steve Corica comes inside. Takes the shot, goes for the near post. Vukovic hangs on well. Comes inside Wayne O'Sullivan. Good connection. Really might have been better going for the far post.
Well, Brown is in behind. The flag has stayed down. And maybe a tired pass from Damien Brown. Look at the room all of a sudden for Carney. Petrovsky. York, flag down at full stretch. A chance for Sasho Petrovsky.
Well, it's much better play from Sydney FC. So close. Petrovsky just stretching, couldn't get on the end of it. Sydney having a much better period. David Carney's becoming more prominent.
And York now starting to get into better areas for Sydney FC. Dwight York takes Clark one way and then the other. Squares it up, the shots! Sydney draw first blood in the grand final. Stevie Corica. A goal laid on the plate by Dwight York.
Well, that's magnificent play from Dwight York. Pierre Lebarski's up. It's a great finish also from Steve Corica. He still had a lot to do. But York, absolutely fantastic, taking on the Central Coast Mariners defence. They drop back off him. There's two of them there. Clark and Spencer feel they should try and make a challenge, but he lays it back perfectly to Corica. Still a lot to do. Keeps his head down, angles it into the corner of the net. We talked about York being tired, but he manages to set up the Sydney FC opener.
Stevie Corica guides his shot past the outstretched arm of Danny Vukovic. Ecstasy for Pierre Lebarski. And Sydney FC have edged in front of the Hyundai A-League Grand Final. Corica, a spring in his step. Feeds it into the path of York, left for Petrovsky. Down goes Corica. The referee had a good look at it. The challenge may have been just inside the box.
Now Sydney FC making the pressing high up the pitch. That's been the difference in the second half. What a chance there for Petrovsky. There's the call for the penalty. There's a clumsy challenge really from Alex Wilkinson. I don't think that's a penalty at all. But Petrovsky had the real chance just before. His first touch maybe let him down. Got stuck between his feet.
York again gets the better of Clark. Slides it into Petrovsky, who probably wanted it a split second earlier. Well, Dwight York, having been so quiet in the first half, is now demonstrating his true qualities. The Mariners are not out of this by a long shot, although Brown at the moment is caught by the flag. Just over 20 minutes remaining, and the first change will be made. And it's going to be Matthew Osman, who has recovered sufficiently from a bout of pneumonia, and he will take the place of Damien Brown, who has run himself into the ground.
Had a fine first half, Damien Brown. He's worked hard in this second half where you'd have to say he had the better of Packer in the first half, but I think Packer's maybe been on top in this second half, and Laurie McKenna brings on the fresh legs. It's 1-for-1. Matthew Osman will go and play on that left-hand side. The difference is he is right-footed. He will look to come back onto his right foot. Certainly he has been ill in the last couple of weeks. I'll be interested to see how his breathing is.
It's been a hard few weeks for Matthew Osman. And Laurie McKenna believes the time is right to bring on some fresh legs. The Mariners looking for a spark. 12 games unbeaten going into the grand final, Central Coast.
Well, we talked about getting Gumprecht more into the game. Also, Tommy Ponliak, he's the other match winner for them. He's been very quiet in the second half. In the first half, he was everywhere. Need to get him on the ball, making runs in behind the Sydney defence.
Bingley. Osman with his first touch. Clips the ball over the top. O'Sullivan looking for Pondyliak, and not sure who that ball came off, but Clint Bolton was herring off his line, and that could have been a catastrophe.
Well, it could have been. It came off Mark Rudin. Certainly no back pass. Mark Rudin trying to clear the ball, but luckily for him, fell into Bolton's hands.
York. Checkerley. Cross takes a deflection. There's been a tangle of arms and legs inside the box. Petrie. Look at the numbers the Mariners have at the moment. One of them is Gumprecht. Early ball in from Andre Gumprecht. It's come up ahead of Mark Rudin. That will be a Central Coast corner.
And that's a better sign. The counter-attack we're so used to seeing from Central Coast. Gumprecht with the ball in. Mark Rudin giving the ball away, or giving the corner away, really. That was better from the coast, and they have another corner.
And that is a big call from the coach, a defensive change. 20 minutes to go. Maybe a injury problem for Mark Rudin. The skipper makes way. Maybe in stretching to get on that cross away. There's picked up an injury of some sort. And a big round of applause for Mark Rudin. Maybe a hamstring problem, and Ian Fife has come on for Sydney FC.
Well, will that be a telling blow? Will this be a critical moment? Mark Rudin's been outstanding for Sydney FC in the last few weeks.
And it comes from Pondyliak. The Header away by Andrew Packer. Carney. Now Bingley. Dwight York clearly enjoying himself a lot more in this second half. A tired-looking pass from Stuart Petrie has turned it over. And, likewise, Terry McFlynn. And now we may see that change for the Mariners. Kwasnik on to replace Stewie Petrie. So the equal top goal scorer for the Mariners makes way. Experience replaced by youth. Beecham. Looking for Kwasnik.
There's still Petrie going off. Adam Kwasnik, the fresh legs.
Well, we talked about a record crowd, 41,689. It is the biggest crowd ever to attend a game of club football in this state. And not a soul has left the ground. Free kick to Andre Gumprecht. In it comes from Pondeliak. And that was another important header away from Fife. So far, Sydney have done well to deal with these Mariners set pieces.
Matthew Bingley with the run forward there. Steve Corica just couldn't pick him out. Run on the right-hand side. Here's Petrovski's free kick. Maybe lucky to not get a yellow card for that one, but it did stop, again, the play for the Central Coast.
Clipped forward by Beecham. Fife wins it in the air. Here's Osman. The ball's come off Packer. And another corner for the Mariners. They've had 3 times as many corners as Sydney FC, Central Coast, but as I said, Robbie, Sydney have defended well from the set piece.
They have, but if you keep giving them chances, sooner or later they might make one pay.
Osman has the corner, in low, away by Packer. Osman somewhat fortunately gets it back. A better ball in, just clears the head of Wilkinson. Pondeliak. Packer. Beaten to the punch by Osman. Some desperation now from the Mariners. The shot. And it came from Wayne O'Sullivan straight down the throat of Clint Bolton. Was moving in the air though.
Yeah, it looked like it. He picks the ball up. No one closing him down. He hits this. This moves in the air. Bolton was going one way. He comes back the other way. Grateful for that to go straight into his hands. And Central Coast territorial now, starting to push forward.
Checkerley. Good ball. Corrigan with a run in behind. Wilkinson stretches. And superb defending from the young Mariners player Alex Wilkinson. Petrovski. Well, he thought about tipping the goalkeeper. That was the intent from Sasho Petrovski.
They probably had no other option. made a little bit of space for himself. He's a little bit unlucky. He gets underneath it. Head came up a bit and it sails over the bar, but he's had a much better second half, Sasha Petrosky. Good skill there, gets out of his feet, but he's under pressure. Skies it over, but Alex Wilkinson just a moment before that, great defending, nearly caught out by Steve Corica.
Oh, Jacob Timpano replaced by Ruben Zedkovic, two players born and bred in Wollongong. And we'll see a reshuffle with Bingley going into the heart of that Sydney FC defence. Some very, very tired legs from Jacob Timpano as he headed to the bench. Again, good play from Dwight York. Here's Fife. Dwight York turns away from Beecham. Mistake made there by Clark. Shot from Carney was blocked. It was Wilkinson. Andrew Packer goes to ground. The challenge from Gumprang. The free kick for Sydney FC. He's had a magnificent second half, Andrew Packer.
He has. I thought he struggled a little bit in the first half where Damien Brown had the better of him, but what a reaction in the second half from Andrew Packer. Defensively, he's been superb, and now he's taking the sting out of the Central Coast by attacking them right down in the end, at their end of the pitch, overlapping, and he wins this free kick for Sydney, who seem to again taking the dominance in this game.
Carney over the free kick, whips it in. Chance here hasn't been cleared by the Mariners. Now it has eventually by Adam Kwasnik.
And interesting to see Ruben Zedkovic, the substitute, coming on. The games he's played wide in the left-hand side of midfield. He's come on here and he's playing central.
Corica. And that should be a Mariners throw. It is quickly taken by Beecham. They want to get a move on. O'Sullivan slides it down the line. Checkley gets there in front of Adam Kwasnik, goes back to his goalkeeper. Very cool play from Clint Bolton. Well, I guess it's rather telling that despite plenty of pressure, Clint Bolton hasn't really had to make any difficult saves in this match.
No, particularly go back to the first half where Central Coast did have some very, very good opportunities, but they failed to hit the target or make Bolton make a save. So in that respect, he's been a bit under pressure with corners.
Clark gets there in front of Zedkovic. They need a spark now, the Mariners. Time starting to become an issue. They'll make another change. Paul O'Grady will add some height to the attack for the Central Coast. And off goes Alex Wilkinson, or will O'Grady go to the defensive line? We'll just have to wait for a moment and see. Of course, Paul O'Grady, normally a defender, but he often comes on at this stage of the game to play as a central striker. Clark pumps it forward. Bolton has spilled it, but gets a favourable bounce.
Oh, the ball was too deep from Andrew Clark. Floating it in, there's Paul O'Grady, and he will stay up front by the looks of it. Just make himself a nuisance up front, so Central Coast don't like to play a long ball, but they're forced into it now. Play it long, and O'Grady will go on, try and get some flick-ons for the Kwasnik, Gumprecht, Matthew Osmond to run onto.
Just over 5 minutes remaining. The Central Coast searching for a lifeline, searching for a goal to take the game into extra time. Sydney FC looking to hold on to what they already have, and it is a very substantial prize indeed. The goal from Steve Corica. Sydney FC are 5 minutes away from the championship.
Well, last 5 minutes is tired legs out there on Sydney FC side as they sink back onto their 18-yard box. That can be dangerous, but Central Coast throwing everything forward will be open to their counter-attack.
And here is York on the counter with a switch of play, looking for Carney. That is a tired pass from Dwight York. He stood tall though for Sydney FC when it mattered. Had a huge role in that goal from Corica. Heffernan. Down goes Kwasnik. Tackle came from Fife. The referee playing the advantage. Will there be some? Not in the end. And again, well, Terry McFlynn working hard.
Terry McFlynn getting his head up. He was looking for Petrovski to make a run into space, but Petrovski just couldn't do it. And they've given away possession. Giving it away all the time now, Sydney FC.
O'Sullivan, cleared by Bingley. Here's York. Gets the return from Petrovski. Just can't get the ball from under the boots there, Dwight York. Now Carney. Heffernan. Good tackle. Wins it cleanly.
Yeah, it's a good tackle from Dean Heffernan. What a battle that's been. Heffernan, the most times I'd say has been on top. David Carney usually backs himself on his right foot. Takes left fullbacks on the outside. Today we haven't really seen that. We saw it once when he got through the nutmeg on Heffernan, but after that he comes inside. And of course that's good for Beecham and Clark. It's where they can deal with it.
2 against 1, and numbers count. York gets a good run off the ball from Zadkovic. Fresh legs from the youngster. Trucking back is O'Sullivan. He comes inside, Zadkovic.
Well, there's a youngster at work. He comes inside, an older player, more experienced player, may have run that down into the corner, near the corner flag, waste time. Not Zadkovic. He's looking to get on the score sheet.
Checkerley happy to pump that one up the other end of the park. 2 and a bit minutes remaining. Some rather glum faces on that Central Coast bench.
Ball turned over again. This time it's Zadkovic going back. Got his head up. He's looking to hit Petrovski, but really that was the only option, and they give possession away again. Now, can the Central Coast make this possession pay?
There is not a lot of time on the clock. And Clint Bolton will be determined to eat up as much of that clock as he can.
Well, a clever play from Bolton. Could have picked that up straight away. Elected to let it bounce, run some more seconds.
McFlynn, now Corica. There's Petrovski inside. Well, if he does end up on a beaten side, Michael Beecham, he can feel very, very proud of his individual performance.
He certainly can, Mike. What a wonderful performance from the new Socceroo. Made his debut against Bahrain as Middleby comes into the action. And will run some more precious seconds away for Sydney FC. With Michael Beecham, an outstanding performance for the Central Coast Mariners in the heart of their defence. Petrovski's the one to give way.
It's an early mark for the birthday boy, Sasho Petrovski. Will he be celebrating later tonight with a championship medal hanging around his neck? He hopes so. We're inside the final 60 seconds. Middleby is on for Sasho Petrovski. Beecham with the up and under.
And Petrovsky just went off. Great second half from him as well. It's not easy playing up there on your own. He's worked across the line. He's been up against the outstanding Beecher Bank Clark. He's done a lot better in the second half, holding the ball up. Little 1-2s.
We're into stoppages, and there's 3 minutes to be added on to the end of the grand final. Will there be time enough for the Central Coast Mariners? Or will Sydney FC hang on? The biggest 3 minutes of the season, probably the hardest 3 minutes of the season for both of these teams.
Well, it'll feel like the shortest 3 minutes for the Central Coast, but for Sydney and their fans, it'll seem like a lot longer.
Whipped in by Pondoliak. And Fife with the header. The Mariners have the corner.
And Fife getting up there, I thought he was up early enough and had a good look at it to head that one to safety, but he elects to flick it on and give Central Coast another corner.
In it comes. Out comes Bolton. Gets a glove to it. Chance here for O'Sullivan. And Bolton has tipped it over the bar. The whistle had already gone, though. It wouldn't have counted. But drama in the dying stages.
Well, the free kicks for impeding Clint Bolton. Not sure how true that was. O'Sullivan, it's a decent connection. He was under pressure. Bolton tipped that one over. The whistle had already gone. For me, a non-existent foul on Clint Bolton.
It is deafening, and I mean deafening here at Aussie Stadium. O'Sullivan. Kosnick heading away from goal. Middleby provided the numbers. There can't be much time left in the grand final. Pondoliak, tied cross, the interception. It came from McFlynn. And he's happy to play that ball into the opposition half. A look at the watch from Mark Shield. Free kick to the Central Coast. They'll throw everyone forward. The goalkeeper as well. Danny Vukovic goes into the opposing penalty area. Goes deep. Out comes Bolton. What a save from Clint Bolton. The save of the season.
Well, that's great goalkeeping from Clint Bolton. Takes the pressure off his defence.
York. There is the final whistle. Well, they're the biggest, and now they're the best. Sydney FC are the champions of Australia. Sydney FC have won the Hyundai A-League Grand Final. And when it counted, the big players came up with the big plays. Dwight York laying on the goal. Steve Corica scoring the goal. And Sydney FC have won the championship.
Much better second half, and in the end, a quality performance, you have to say, from Dwight York. He looked out of the game in the first half, but he is the one that's turned this game. He made the goal, and he was a touch of class in the covert dancing, but the Central Coast, a brave performance. They needed to capitalise in that first half. They didn't, and in the end, that's what paid.
The final score in the inaugural Hyundai A-League Grand Final is Sydney FC 1, Central Coast Mariners 0.
Well, that goal came from Steve Corica. Let's go down now to the goal scorer in the grand final.
Steve scoring the winning goal in a grand final. Does it get much better than that?
It doesn't, mate. You know, I've had a long career, and, you know, that's got to be, you know, my favourite moment of the 15, 16 years being a professional. You know, we worked really hard today. They put us under a lot of pressure, but, you know, our defence stood strong. And just thanks to all the crowd here today.
It's an amazing start to the history of this club.
Yeah, let's hope it keeps going. You know, we're the first A-League grand final winners. You know, we're pleased with that, Murray.
Thanks, Steve. I'll let you get back and celebrate.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the inaugural Hyundai A-League champions,